it's Jorge giving you a quick review, spoiler filled, of Thunderbolts. I was able to see this movie in a press screening, and I've just kind of been sitting on it, just trying to digest and see how I can see how this movie will just come out at the end of the day. See how I will feel about it the more I sat on it. Because initially, when I got out of the theaters, I just wasn't impressed. I was not happy. I was not feeling the hype like everyone else was. Um, and going through it, and just kind of sitting through over the weekend and just kind of thinking about this movie and seeing how it differed from others and where I would place this or how I would, fit this movie into where it needs to go. Um, and even thinking about it, the more I think about it, the more I kind of feel the same. Where this movie, at the end of the day, could have been a Disney Plus show, could have been a small series. Um, this movie was about a little over 2 hours long, so I don't know, make it 4 3 hour or 4 30-minute long episodes. Going from there, realistically, the main big things that came out of this at the end of the day is what you got the new Avengers that's led by Valentina, and at the after credit scene you kind of see the Fantastic Four ship, and that's really about it. Like it wasn't it it had potential, and I think that's the part that bothers me, because when you first start seeing this movie, you see that at the end of the day, like, it started off very dark, very more emotional, dealing with like mental health, and I thought that this could have been a very unique take on some of these heroes, like some of this almost like a Hancock type film where you kind of start seeing these heroes deteriorating mentally, and the neat thing was it wasn't any of the main superheroes per se. You're doing this with a lot of the kind of the, I don't want to say the leftover superheroes because that sounds terrible, because I truly enjoy a lot of the characters in here. I wasn't sure how well it would all fit together. And when you start looking, and going down the lineup, obviously you have Bucky, who's kind of battling this internal, am I a congressman or am I the Winter Soldier type of battle arc, mental fighting, at the end of the day is how I call it. And even him, like, when you kind of see how he's been going through all of this, and seeing where he's going through, like, from the beginning through like the middle of this and even at the end, it's like a lot of his story arc just didn't really make sense in terms of what he's trying to accomplish. And then you go into Florence's character, who, as a Black Widow, I mean, her character is always so unique and just so serious, and her tone has very much changed throughout her career here in the MCU. But this one, I felt like, especially in the beginning, it was just so raw, and it for me, I really enjoyed where they were going with it. And it was so much nicer than seeing how she was when she first got out, where she was just excited that her vest had pockets. So seeing this level of growth in her, truly loved it. Loved everything about her. Loved her fight scenes. All done very well. And then you go to like Johnny Walker, like the U.S. agent. His character, I thought did good. Like, I thought they could have done better. I thought some of the stuff that happened to him were hilarious, and actually made some of the parts of this movie hilarious. Like when they folded up his shield like that. I don't know why, but I found that to be hilarious. And then I forgot who it was that called it like a taco, and that was just hilarious to me. But I felt his character, in a weird way, being kind of in a weird way, his character and Red Guardian kind of clashed a little bit for trying to be funny in the most like, like inopportune times per se. Um, Red Guardian, I think, in this whole thing was probably he stayed the same from start to finish, which I thought was great. In terms of the way his character is, it's obviously just hilarious to me. I don't know why whenever I see the Red Guardian, it makes me happy. Going through, and then you have Ghost, and Ghost I thought was very well used. I thought there were opportunities where obviously she could have just bounced out and let what would be, and to see her kind of come back, and in my mind, she's the reason that this team actually does form. Like without her, obviously all these people would be gone. Frustrating that you see Taskmaster in the, in the previews and even in the main poster, because she's there for what, 38 seconds, which kind of goes like, that's a character that I feel has always just been wasted. Like, you could do so much cool stuff, and even that one fight scene in that kill room, that was just super cool. And seeing her and how she's taken, different fighting styles and all that, like that was just a missed opportunity. I feel there where they could have done some really cool stuff with her. And then we kind of go into the new, like big bad, which is, Bob, which just cracks me up that his name is Bob, just so simple. But you kind of look at Bob, or Sentry, or the Void, however you want to look at this, and you have this superhero who is so, at the end of the day, just so powerful and so beyond comprehension at the end of the day. And I'm not saying that they defeated him too fast, but you would think that a character of his magnitude would require something a little bit more. You would think that this would be, I don't want to say like that the B team couldn't handle it, because that's kind of like how they're portraying the Thunderbolts, kind of like the B squad. But you would think this would require like Miss Marvel, Thor, like people out of this world to truly combat someone of this caliber. And to have the people that took care of it kind of happen the way it did, it's kind of, it felt like a missed opportunity. This would have been a great opportunity for some type of crazy cameo to pop up, just something out of this world to truly lift this up and over. At the end of the day, like, I felt that all this movie did, is obviously give Valentina a bigger role in the MCU. Obviously it cements, kind of this new Avenger team in there, and at the end of the day, with the second end credit scene, you see the Fantastic Four, spaceship coming back, which for me, some of the, realistically, I think that Fantastic Four piece of it probably got the biggest pop in the theater that I was at, which is great, but there just could have, this movie could have been so much more. And I think for me, and I'm not even going to call this a filler movie. Like, this almost felt, oh, this is terrible to say this. This almost felt like an end credit scene. Like, at the end of the day, like when you kind of think of an end credit scene, and you're like, what does an end credit scene do? It brings you, it brings up a fun little pop that gets you excited for what's coming up next. If anything, this brought a pop for the Fantastic Four, and that's about it. Like, it wasn't like this movie, we got to understand some of these characters a little bit more. We got to understand a little bit more of their backstory, or a little bit more of like their dark side. But we already knew that. Like this is really just Marvel trying to recreate a Suicide Squad, kind of a team that doesn't follow the rules, that kind of goes and does stuff on their own. It really felt like they could have done more with this. It really felt like this was one of those where they kind of they dropped the ball on this one. At the end of the day, like I truly felt like when you look at this cast, you look at what you have, you truly could have you could have done so much more. And for all these people who talk about how Marvel's back and this movie was amazing, like, was this movie better than Captain America? I mean, yeah, but is that saying much? Like the latest Captain America that just came out, is that saying much? Not too much. Like, it's the bar wasn't set super high. And when you start thinking about what truly this movie is about, and what it does, like, it basically, all it did was just give you a little bit more backstory on some of these beeline characters, and it kind of made them join together. And my biggest fear is, if this is how they're kind of joining up, quote unquote, the new Avengers, I am definitely worried about Young Avengers. Like, how they're going to mix match all of those people, and how that's going to play out. Um, I love that they started exploring a little bit more of the mental health of it, and I liked how that came out. And at first, when you kind of see the opening scene and that opening monologue by Florence's character, and how she's affected by all this, in my head I was like, oh, they may be reaching almost like a Hancock type of level. But other than that, like, I felt Bucky's character was kind of a waste in this movie. It's almost, I don't want to say figuring out what you want to do, but it's like, are you going to be a congressman, or are you going to, you know, be an Avenger per se? And you look at it, and it's like, out of all these characters, Bucky's technically the only one who kind of was with the Avengers, but yet he's not the quote unquote leader of this group. When you kind of think about it, and you think about how this movie portrays it out to be, I don't understand how this movie could get as much kudos as it has been getting. I think it was a waste of a villain, and it will be interesting to see if and how they decide to use Bob moving forward. Someone with that much power and that much abilities almost reminds you of, Thanos' snap at the end of the day. Like, you have someone who is of that power. And you kind of look at it, and like, how does this progress the story other than giving Valentina a larger role, giving other characters time to shine before, like, Doomsday comes out. I felt there were more misses than catches with this film. This will end up falling into one of those that I feel will be lost and forgotten in under, I'll say under 6 months. People aren't going to be talking about this. People aren't going to be, clamoring over this, like other movies, especially in the MCU. Overall, like, this was an okay movie. If I had to rank this from 1 to 10, it'd probably get a 6 for me. 6, maybe a 7, because it introduced, a couple neat characters. I felt it was they wasted them, but it at least introduced them. But overall, yeah, this for me is 6 out of 10. It had little sparks of hope, but other than that, I wasn't blown away by this one. I was not super impressed. I think, and I'll still stand by it. I think this movie would have done better as a Disney Plus show where you are introducing new characters, introducing somewhat of a new big bad, and progressing that line a little bit more. So yeah, but obviously I know this is going to be. I'm going to be, I guess, in the minority in this one in terms of what I felt about this movie, because I think all the buzz I keep hearing and everything is like people just absolutely love this movie. I just It just wasn't for me. Doesn't mean it wasn't for you. It just wasn't for me. Which, for me, obviously it worries me for what Fantastic Four will be, and it worries me for what Doomsday may be, as those are the next big Avenger movies on the horizon. And kind of to go from this to Fantastic Four to Doomsday, I think is going to be a little wild. I wonder what they're going to do with Fantastic Four in a weird way, to see how they set up for Doomsday. But right now, in the way that I'm kind of looking through this, I'm not sure how you set this up for like Doomsday. I don't, other than like randomly like Doomsday randomly like popping up. I'm not sure how they're going to truly incorporate a big bad like that jumping out at us. So it will definitely be interesting to just see how this all plays out. Hopefully, at the end of the day, I know Marvel's been focusing a lot more on quality over quantity. I will give it credit, in terms of quality. The CGI was better in this movie than the rest, so that's obviously definitely a huge step up. But if you were to ask me, in terms of right now, what's been the best Marvel movie for, or anything Marvel related for 2025, it's been all the Disney Plus shows. Daredevil was phenomenal. Spider-Man, like your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, was great. And then it'll be a fight between Thunderbolts and Captain America. I'd probably put Thunderbolts just a hair above it, but I mean, realistically, Fantastic Four has a very low bar to truly beat for Marvel this year. So we'll see. But as always, this is Jorge, just giving you my thoughts and opinion on Thunderbolts, and would love to see what you guys think. Would love to see kind of if you guys agree, disagree, and also what were some of y'all's favorite characters in this movie, and do you feel that some of these characters were wasted? That, I think that's for me more what I kind of get stuck on, is you have these great IPs and you're kind of wasting some of them, and wondering how this will all progress. But as always, we'll see you next time. Peace.